So before I start this off, yours truly, Shah from Planet Mondo, Break the App, aka Break the Apocalypse podcast. Just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate, end of the month, New Year, atheist, whatever the fuck you're celebrating. I wish you a merry one and a happy one. So, I wanted to do something special. We had a hard time for my usual podcast, Break the Apocalypse, coming up together to put up an episode of our top favorite Christmas movies. Since it's almost Christmas, we figured it'd be fitting. So what we did is we each recorded a different segment, basically presenting our top 5 movies. Now, I couldn't come up with 5, so I came up with 10, but I'm going to just bang right through them. Pause. It sounds like an orgy. Christmas orgy is not here. We're not doing that. We're going to keep it rated R probably, but, not triple X. This isn't an A24 presents Pearl review. It's a Christmas movie review. So, with that said, without further ado, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that notification button, Planet Mondo, YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to Break the Apocalypse on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, wherever else you can find podcasts. We've been doing this for almost 2 years. You should absolutely be checking this out. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Top 10 Christmas movies. And we'll start off with number 10. Number 10, I have to start off with horror. I'm sorry. I tried not to go full-blown horror on this, but I had to include a few. So, my apology in advance. Number 10 is none other than the original, and I say that because there's 5 of them, Silent Night, Deadly Night. This movie, I didn't watch it growing up, right? I didn't watch it growing up. I actually only watched it for the first time, I believe, 2 years ago. I got the Scream Factory Blu-ray, which honestly, I thought Scream Factory was going to put it out on 4K this time around. Because, it's almost Christmas. It's the perfect time to put it out. They didn't. It's okay. They didn't. But Silent Night, Deadly Night is a nice psycho dad gone crazy with a mix of a Santa Claus costume with a little bit of bloody presents sprinkled across. Nice little Easter eggs filled with blood. You should absolutely check it out. If you're into slashers, I guess, if you're into 70s and 80s slashers, if you like Christmas movies, plural, since we're discussing top 10. And if you like horror movies, you should definitely be checking out Silent Night, Deadly Night. This movie right here, and again, the restoration on this, it looks like an old movie, which I appreciate. You see a lot of film grain still on this, presented, even in the restored version. And I appreciate that. I appreciate film grain. I want it to look like a film. I don't want it to look digital. I want it to look like a film. So if you haven't seen Silent Night, Deadly Night, definitely check it out because it's made my top 10, even though it barely made it, but it still sits at the tippy top, number 10. Let's go on to number 9. Number 9, we got to start rolling with some comedies, and then we'll sprinkle some more horror in there. Number 9 is an odd one because I'm a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. I grew up on Arnold, obviously Terminator, grew up on Eraser, grew up on Total Recall, grew up on Predator, Commando, you name it, Raw Deal, you name it, I love it, right? I wasn't too familiar with his comedies. He's got quite a few, believe it or not. He's got Junior, he's got Twins, that I know of, and he's got our number 9. If I missed any comedies that Arnold has done, be sure to leave it in the comments or hit me up on Twitter and let me know. What Arnold comedies did I miss? Because I'd like to add it to my collection. I'm a big Arnold fan. So if I missed any comedies, let me know. So coming in at number 9 is Arnold and Sinbad joining forces. Well, not really joining forces, going against each other, right? It's a versus. Coming in at number 9 is Jingle All the Way. By the way, on Amazon right now, it's like less than $5 for the Blu-ray. So if you don't have it and you want to add it to your collection, I don't know if it's ever going to come to... I'm sure it's going to come to 4K eventually, but it didn't come this year, so it's definitely not going to be coming for at least another year. So if you want to add it to your collection, it's less than $5 right now on Amazon. Jingle All the Way is about basically a busy dad. It's very much similar to Jim Carrey's Liar Liar with Christmas and a fucking toy sprinkled in, right? So it's about a busy dad that's always working, Arnold, relatable, right? It's a very simple movie. Kept it very simple. Very simple. Simple as fuck, right? So it's about Arnold. Never spends time with his family. He's always working. For Christmas, his son wants this toy, right? This action figure that's sold out everywhere. So him and Sinbad happen to be after the same toy, and they see each other in the toy store. And basically there's one left, and that's where their feud starts, and they start clashing heads because they're both after the same toy. So it's like a cat and mouse chase, right? Like Sinbad's after the toy, Arnold's after the toy. They constantly bump heads and have little mini battles, and at the end they have a nice heroic battle, right? Because the story switches. Arnold goes from wanting the toy to becoming the fucking toy. Weird movie, definitely a weird one, but it's a childhood favorite of mine. This is something that I did watch. I watched this when I lived in Germany. So I watched the German version of this growing up. So imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger with a German accent doing this movie, and that's what you get, right? But this is a very simple movie. There's nothing clever about it. It's very, very simple. But it's a feel-good movie, right? It's a feel-good holiday movie, and I appreciate it for what it is. So, number 9, Jingle All the Way. Number 8, I want to go back to horror. Let's rewind a little bit, right? Let's rewind. It's like an old VHS tape, you know. Be kind, be rewind. We'll be kind. Let's rewind a little bit. Number 8, probably my favorite Christmas horror movie of all time. And it's fairly new, right? Like, it's like 10 years old. It's nothing crazy, right? It's not like from the 70s or anything like that. It's from the 2000s. And it's none other than Krampus coming in at number 8. Now, we were just talking about speaking Deutsch, and Krampus is, from my understanding, it's a German mythological demon creature thing that comes around Christmas to the kids that were being bad, right? Krampus, this movie has it all that I love about it, right? This is like the perfect mix of comedy and horror. This is comedy and horror done right. Another example of comedy and horror done right is like the Evil Dead series, right? Return of the Living Dead. That's another phenomenal example of mixing the right, perfect portions, right? Right amount of ratio of comedy and horror. Balance. You have to find that perfect balance between the two. And I think Krampus did that, right? Because it's got several really cool looking creatures. I mean, the practical effects are fucking top notch in this, right? It's a funny movie. The characters, you get invested in them. The characters are funny. I really like the characters, actually, you know? If you haven't seen this, you should be adding this to your list. Because Krampus is, again, if you like horror movies, and again, this isn't straight horror. So if you're not a full-on horror enthusiast, I still think there's room to appreciate this film. And it should probably belong somewhere on your shelf. It belongs on my shelf. I actually have it on 4K and Blu-ray because I'm psychotic like that. But it's on my shelf, and it should be on your shelf too. Krampus, I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it, but the story's really cool, right? It's basically about a family right around Christmas time. The grandmother is German. The grandchild is not happy and excited about Christmas, right? He's not getting what he wants. So instead of writing to Santa, he writes to Krampus. Now, when Krampus comes, all hell breaks loose, no pun intended. And I don't want to spoil what happens from there, but it goes to shit. And it's got a cool ending. It's got a really, really cool, neat ending where you're like, oh, that's good. Okay, I feel good. Holidays, that's nice. And then you're like, wait, what the fuck? Oh shit. I thought that, okay, all right. Well, that's the end. All right. Well, I didn't expect that. So the ending is kind of cool. You should go check this out. And that's Krampus, number 8. Number 7. Let's switch it up again, right? Now we've done straight comedy with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We've done some horror, Silent Night, Deadly Night. We've done Krampus. We haven't done a cartoon yet. I'm sure you can guess what it is. Or maybe not, because, I mean, there's several different Christmas cartoons. My favorite of all time, though, this was the first thing that I got introduced to when I moved to America as a kid. The Grinch. Not the movie. The Dr. Seuss cartoon. From the, 50s or 60s? When is this from? Probably from the 60s, if I had to take a wild guess. 50s or 60s. There's something about, and again, as an artist, I appreciate certain things that other people might not appreciate as much. The style of the illustrations, I fell in love with as a child. The Dr. Seuss characters, you can pinpoint them out from a mile away, right? They have this, I don't know, they have their own style, right? They have their own style. Everybody, the facial features, right? They kind of resemble each other, right? They complement each other. Every character almost complements each other in some form or fashion, visually anyway. The Grinch is a nice, different type of Christmas story, and it actually has a happy ending, which is nice. It's got a good feel-good moment at the end, right? Everybody's familiar with The Grinch, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but abso-fucking-lutely one of my favorites of all time is The Grinch. And I love Jim Carrey, but the cartoon and the film, this is the cartoon, the film is off the screen, right? And the film's not bad, it's just the cartoon is phenomenal. The cartoon is an instant classic. I'm saying instant classic like I was fucking alive when it came out. It's been a classic before I was a thought in my dad's ballsack. So it's been a classic forever. So number 6, The Grinch. Well, I'm sorry, number 7. What the fuck am I talking about? Number 6 is what we're going to next. A lot of people might not consider this a Christmas movie. I'm not sure why. There's a Christmas tree in the movie. I see a Christmas tree. It's a Christmas movie, dude. I don't know. They attempted to sing Christmas carols. It's a Christmas movie. I'm sorry. Coming in at number 6 is none other than The Gremlins. And I love both, Gremlins 1 and 2. I know there's some rumors about Gremlins 3 coming out in 2023, which I pray to every Christmas god out there that this is true, because we're due for another Gremlins movie, right? We've redone everything. We've done Evil Dead. We've done Halloween, Friday the 13th. We've done Hellraiser, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, fucking Space Jam. We've rebooted everything. Bbatman, everything. You name it, it's been rebooted. It got the boot like Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, bro. It's been booted. Everything's booted. Everything has been Jazzy Jeffed. But the Gremlins. I don't know why. I'm assuming there's something with the rights. I'm assuming there's got to be some kind of holdup, right? Because it's a property that will make a shit ton of money, right? There's no way the Gremlins will make a movie and it's going to be a failure. I mean, you can even look at Top Gun, right? Top Gun was the biggest movie of the fucking year. It beat every Marvel movie out there, beat every, obviously, horror movie out there, as much as I hate to say it, but I haven't seen Top Gun. I don't give a shit about it, but I know it did huge, right? All these different properties from the 80s and 90s are booming in the 2000s. Especially with all these different subscription apps that are going on that have exclusive movies and exclusive rights. Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, Paramount. I mean, there's so many, countless ones. I'm shocked that not one of them has invested into a Gremlins movie. It's necessary. Don't feed them after midnight. Everybody knows the Gremlins. I don't need to get into it. You know the Gremlins. You love the Gremlins. Why the fuck wouldn't it be in your top 10? It has to be. I should have possibly made it in my top 5. But you know what? The top 5 are... I love every single one of them. Right? The Gremlins. A lot of people hate the second one. Not hate, maybe. Hate's a strong word. They might think the second one is overrated. I am absolutely in love with both of them. Give me the third one. I'm ready for it. Gremlins, number 6. Let's go to number 5. I actually just watched this last night. Just came out on 4K. This is a movie that holds up. This movie, number 5 and number 4, very different movies. Very similar feeling. And I think it's for the simple fact that they were both shot in the 80s. And everything in the movie that's captured on film captures the aura of the 80s perfectly. Perfectly. From the furniture to the fucking awful looking wallpapers you would see in houses in the 80s and 70s and early 90s, right? The furniture, the way the kitchens were, the cabinets, everything. The Christmas decorations. The simplistic designs in all the decorations you would see. That's what made me I guess hold on to these movies and have like this nostalgic spot for them, because it's not so much that I'm so invested in the story and it's like, oh my god, this is the best story ever, right? It's visually I fell in love with the movie because it represents a time where life was simpler, I'm sure, for a lot of us if you were born during that time, right? And it just takes me to a happy spot. So, number 5, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Fucking love it. Just watched it last night. The Griswolds don't let down, man. They don't disappoint. Every single one is hilarious. This movie has one of the funniest beginnings. I love the beginning where he thinks he has everything under control. They get stuck underneath the truck. They end up going off the ramp and end up in the fucking woods. And, oh, we did perfect timing, honey. Let's go pick up a fucking tree. And they pick up a tree the size of their house. This movie is top notch. I mean, I don't know how this wouldn't be in somebody's top 5 if you're an adult. Such a great movie. It's got so many countless quotable moments in this movie. The characters, I mean, again, the visuals, right? Again, at the time, it was just a regular movie. It was just a regular funny movie. But what it represents to me, and I'm sure a lot of people, is that era, right? It's that time period. We hold on to those memories. A lot of this might look like the house that you grew up in. And it speaks to me. That's one of the reasons why I love this movie. Again, my house didn't look exactly like the Griswolds or anything like that, but the vibe and the feel of the movie represents what I grew up in. So I appreciate it. So number 5, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. By the way, Amazon right now is $20 on 4K. It came out like a month ago. It was $28, so it's $8 down. If you want to buy it on 4K, it's $20. If you want to wait, I'm sure by next year, you can catch a Black Friday for like $10 on 4K. Might not have the slipcover though. But anyway, let's go to number 4. Very similar to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Very different movies, but similar in the sense that it has the same vibe and the same feel. A Christmas Story. Every fucking person has seen this. If you live in America, you know this movie in and out. I mean, TBS plays it 24 hours a day on Christmas. For years. Decades possibly. I think. Decades probably. This movie holds up really well. Not because everything is relatable. We don't necessarily want like a BB gun. That's not, as a kid, maybe you wanted one. It's not something that I think kids can relate to nowadays, right? It's not a movie that perhaps a teenager might fall in love with. But then again, I don't know. Maybe it's family tradition to watch it with their family. Maybe they grew up on it as a kid, and maybe they are a fan of the movie. But for the people that are 30 and above, I would say, that kind of grew up on this movie for sure, right? It's almost like not a choice. You fucking love this movie. There's... You couldn't escape it growing up, right? You couldn't escape it. You know every word to it. And very similar to Christmas Vacation, the house, the wallpaper, the setting. It's got a nice, warm Christmas feeling. It welcomes you. It's a welcoming movie. It makes you feel like Like, you're ready for Christmas. I'm not ready for Christmas. You know why? Because I didn't watch Christmas Story yet. I'm watching it tomorrow. I don't even have my fucking decorations up. You know why? I didn't watch Christmas Story yet. I need to watch Christmas Story. I'm slacking. So, if your Christmas lights are not up, it's because you didn't watch Christmas Story. And you probably should do that. So, number 4, Christmas Story. Number 3. This is when we get really good. The top 3 are obviously my favorites, right? It speaks for itself. Number 3, which I adore this movie. I don't know why it doesn't make a lot of top 10s. I've watched countless top 10s. This movie doesn't make most people's top 10s. Bad Motherfucking Santa. I watched this in the theater. And when I watched it, I was like, shit. This is an instant classic. This is going to be in rotation every single year moving forward Christmas time. For me, I can only speak for myself. This is Planet Mondo, my channel. I can only speak for myself. You might hate this motherfucking movie. I love it. I thought Bad Santa was brilliant. I loved everything about it. I love everything about this movie. I mean, this is probably the dirtiest Christmas movie you can think of, right? I mean, Christmas Vacation, it's got a couple little jokes here. It's got a little side titty. Bad Santa, I mean, it's dirty. It is fucking gross. It is a gross movie, but hilarious and enjoyable. And the characters are amazing, right? I mean, you go from the little guy to the fucking kid, you know, the kid with the afro. The chubby kid is one of my favorite characters I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why he hasn't done much since then, because I figured he would be a kid that would end up like in a movie like Superbad, right? That's what I expected. But Bad Santa, and I know there's a second one. I've never seen Bad Santa 2. So if you've seen Bad Santa 2, please leave it in the comments. Let me know. Is Bad Santa 2 worth getting? I remember Shout Factory was putting it out on 4K, I believe. Bad Santa 2. Not sure why Bad Santa 1 is not on 4K, but Bad Santa 2 is coming to 4K. I'll have to check it out. Let me know in the comments below. Bad Santa 2, is it worth it or not? Let's go to the top 2. Number 2. I'm sure you can guess. The top 2 have to be easy, right? I mean, there's only so many movies left. Motherfucking Elf. Elf. Will Ferrell. Brilliant. One of my favorite beginnings, aside from, you know, the Christmas Vacation. I love the beginning. I love him as an elf, as a giant elf with all the other little ones. I love the scene of him, like, you know, Paul's showering and his head is hitting, like, the ceiling. I love everything about this movie, right? This movie is fucking hilarious. This is comedy genius at its finest. Again, another movie that was just recently put out on 4K, $20 on Amazon if you want to go check it out. Elf is one of those movies. I think it's in everybody's rotation. Unless you don't have a sense of humor. If you don't like Elf, I probably wouldn't like you. I probably don't want you in my circle, if I'm being honest with you. If you don't like Elf, leave it in the comments below. Do you not like Elf? And if so, why? Please explain. I'm curious if there's anybody that's watching this video that's like, yeah, Elf is very meh. Not a fan. Wouldn't make my top 10. If Elf wouldn't make your top 10, let me know below your top 10. Regardless, let me know your top 10 anyway. I'm curious. I just want to see if there's any movies that I missed. I try to go through most of them. I don't think I missed any, but Elf, I mean, I was deciding between this and number 1. I was flip-flopping. Elf could have, depending on the year, Elf could be number 1 for me. I mean, I fucking love this movie, and I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan. I mean, I love almost all of his movies, you know, from Old School to Anchorman to, I even like Kicking and Screaming. You know what I mean? I even like that movie. I like a lot of Will Ferrell movies. So, number 2, Elf. That's not sitting on the shelf. Actually, the Elf is sitting on the shelf. It's on. Didn't plan that one. It's actually sitting on my shelf. The movie is sitting on my goddamn shelf. So, Elf is on my shelf. Let's go to number 1. Any guesses? You want to take a wild guess? I'll give it a sec. Take a wild guess. I'll wait. Home Alone. I couldn't decide between which one. Slightly like the second one, a little bit better, but I'm just going to put both up there, okay? Home Alone 1 and 2. has to be everyone's top 5. I mean, if you were a kid in the 90s, you grew up on this. There's no way you didn't watch this. I religiously watch this every year around Christmas. I mean, this, Elf, and Christmas Story are probably the 3 that I definitely end up watching. And Christmas Story, honestly, is because of TBS. I wouldn't necessarily put it on because, again, Bad Santa, there's a couple movies that I prefer over Christmas Story. But I can't escape it. It's there every year. I watch it. It's a thing. Home Alone. If you haven't seen this movie, what the fuck have you been? What the fuck have you been? I don't know what you're doing with your life. But I know what you're not doing with your life is you're not watching Home Alone 1 or 2. And you should probably be doing that because it is phenomenal and holds up. And number 2 is amazing because it's Christmas in New York, right? Like, it's got that New York feel to it. I love New York movies, I love settings in New York. And there isn't too many that I've seen as far as Christmas movies in New York. Is there? Is there any on this list? No, I don't think so. Well, maybe Jingle All the Way. Was that New York? Was that in New York? Because they had the parade. Was that the Macy's parade? I don't know. Was that in New York? I keep saying leave it in the comments, but I have so many fucking questions. I have more questions than answers for you guys. Leave them in the comments below. Jingle All the Way. Was that in New York? I think it was. So maybe there's 2 movies on my top 10 that are both in New York. Home Alone 2 and Jingle All the Way. Home Alone 2, though. If I ever have a kid, little man or little girl, you're gonna watch your first movie, and it's probably gonna be Home Alone because we're probably gonna watch it Christmas time. And the first movie I'm gonna put you on is Home Alone. So, Home Alone, very nostalgic. I'm biased. I fucking love this movie. It's perfection. 10 out of 10. I will buy it again and again if they put it on 24K and when I'm 75 years old and they put it into our brain cells to virtually watch it. I'll buy it again. And I'll buy it again. I'll be buried with this shit. I love Home Alone. So, with that said, thank you for joining me. Check out Break the Apocalypse. Merry Christmas. Break the Apocalypse on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spreaker, wherever you can find good podcasts. And of course, if you're on YouTube, check out Planet Mondo. I do a lot of unboxings. I do physical media reviews. I do top 10s. I do random movie reviews. I do streams with physical media, with sales. I do reactions to trailers, all kinds of random different things. So, Planet Mondo on YouTube. Break the Apocalypse is the podcast. Check it out on iTunes. And give us a subscribe. That said, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and thank you for watching this. And I hope you have a very good holiday. Peace.